It is, of course, my own opinion, but I certainly believe that proportional representation is a far better system as opposed to first past the post. Shut up. It's election time, and I've been up and cast my vote. Well, there's 2 votes to cast. A simple cross next to the name that runs off the tongue easiest. It's I've always gone for the names rather than the party. Well, that's not strictly true, Andy, is it? Yes, well, on the 7th of May 26, I've cast my vote for the standing candidate on the ballot paper. It's a standing candidate when they're on voting day, but it's a sitting MSP once they're voted in. It's very strange. Are you standing or sitting? Well, I'm standing today, but hopefully I'll be sitting next week. Oh well. And the place wasn't very busy. They are open from 7 a.m. until 10 p.m. I like to cast my vote sometime mid-afternoon, and generally it's a calm period. I don't know anyone that goes to vote at 7:05 in the morning, but I'm sure there are some people very anxious to make sure the vote is registered. It would have been a bit of a pain if you were making your way to the polling booth at 5 minutes to 10 and you were delayed by a couple of minutes and you got there and the doors were being firmly closed. It's a bit like those people who complain that they missed the deadline for the National Lotto or something. The Euro Millions draw. Well, they've had all day or weeks in advance to make the decision when to place the numbers. Leaving it to 29 minutes past 7 is never a great idea, is it? Especially if you get all 6 numbers in the morning and you check and you find that they matched up with yours that you didn't put on. And you lost out on £15.2 million. I think that would be pretty bad. A lot of things can go wrong in a day for every person. As I say, everyone's got the cross to carry in life. As individuals, we all have a fair share of a heavy load. The good Lord decides what we should carry, and that is given to you with purpose. And you can't complain. You can't complain about it, and you can't complain about how well someone else is doing in comparison with you, or how easy their life seems to be, or how much better your life is than someone else's, and gloat. It's not a good thing to do that either. We all have a cross to carry, and we all have burdens to bear, and some heavier than others, but there is a purpose to that too. And I say this because, well, as mentioned, you could have got to the polling station at, bang on 10 o'clock due to misjudgment of time. And that would be a bit of a disaster. And missing out on your lotto numbers because you failed to get them on in time would also be a bit of a disaster. But all the different things that can happen to one in a day. And then someone sits down to dinner in a fairly upmarket restaurant or something and complains that the Dover sole or something was undercooked, or the carrot puree was was, you know, slightly overdone. It's not the end of the world, but to a diner who's paying £150 in a head, it is. Or sometimes it's just because they want to make remarks to the waiting staff. It makes them feel better. I had all that as a waiter. Everything all right? Well, actually no. The soup was rather salty. In fact, I remember a woman that I worked at a filling job, a between job. I didn't mind doing between jobs because I knew I wasn't going to be there forever. Anything to earn a wage. And I worked at the Round the Wood Health Spa. I think it became Knock Castle for a while, but I think it's gone bust after COVID. It used to be called Akaroa. I think it was called Akaroa at one point. And the lady, well, the owners of Caledonia McBrain Shipping, Calmac, she stayed in this big building where was latterly became a health spa. And I remember the original building. It had a massive, spooky, Gothic tower. Huge it was, but they took it down. They reduced it, at least. Why are you diverting conversation, Andy? Thought you were going to tell us about a situation regarding salty soup. I am. I'm painting a picture for you. And there was this particular lady, elderly lady, every single serving at lunch, every day. I mean, every day. Everything all right? The soup was very salty. It was very, very salty indeed. Please, can you take that remark to the cook? It's very salty. And then she would get everyone else at the table involved in the same conversation. They'd all be nodding their head and saying, yes, it's very salty. I mean, these people were in the 80s and 90s, but wonderful people. It was a health spa as well as a residential home for the elderly. It was very well run. And the lady's name should be in my mind, but I'm trying to think of it. It should come back to me. There's also another lady, I think her name is Mrs. McCrae, and it was very, very clear that she'd lived a very stylish lifestyle for most of her life, because when dinner was served and she would come down for dinner, it was a set meal. There was no choices. Well, there was a small choice, of course, but it wasn't a restaurant menu or anything like that. But she used to come downstairs and come into the dining room dressed in ball gowns. And this lady was in her 80s and she was fantastic, and it was very sad, and I never chuckled about it. It was just an observation, and shared by members of the staff, in a nice way, of course. But she used to put on lipstick, but she never used to get it correctly on her lips, and it was all over the damn place. It was everywhere, all around her face. And but she made that attempt, and it was always nice to see that. It was, you know, I'm still talking about it now after 35 years, perhaps. And but that other lady was quite amusing with her. Every day, no other conversation. It was always about salty soup, and the cook never changed it. She never put less salt in or more salt. She just kept it exactly the same. It was the same conversation every day. But we're very privileged in the United Kingdom. There's no compulsory vote. And I mean, some countries in the world that have democracy, I mean, there can be thousands and thousands of people outside the polling stations ready to cast a vote, and a lot of people getting killed as well in some countries, particularly in Africa. Some of the African nations will kill you if they think that you voted the wrong way. We're very fortunate here in many respects, and my polling station has altered slightly since the Mini Hall was no longer made available. But that used to be the main voting place for my residence. Now I have to travel a couple of miles into town, and fantastic big church, St Andrews, and as soon as I walk in there, I felt so at home today. And of course, all the pews from the church are now removed, but the glistening, varnished wooden floors are still the same, and the organs are still situated where they should be, and everything, the ambience in the building is perfect peace, absolute perfect peace. Very peaceful church it was indeed. I spent many, many happy hours in congregations or in, Sunday school or Bible class. Hundreds of hours of my young life were spent in that church. It was great. I loved it. So it's a sign of the times when a fantastic church is then turned into a polling station, but at least the building's still functional and it still opens its doors, so that's a good thing, isn't it? Unlike the South Church, beautiful red sandstone, the juncture between Comrie Street and Colbells Road, fantastic church building, and it was still holding services, less than 30 years ago. Now it's in total decay. I say often about the churches, and whatever decision was made, I can't remember. I wasn't on the ball. Perhaps I just wasn't observant enough at that point in time to hear the silencing of the bells. But certainly as a child, I remember all the churches in the town of Crieff, just a mile and a half or two further east here. And on a Sunday morning, every single church would be ringing out with the different tones in the bells. Some would be a solitary dong, and St Michael's Parish Church had a rather jazzy type of bell, but to attract all the parishioners and remind them it was Sunday morning, get a move on, church was waiting for them. And of course it happened across the whole town, and it was definitely something I remember very well and savour in my mind even now. Of course there was services on the Sunday evening as well, so you got the same old thing at 6:15 for the 6:30 service. And now it all went quiet. Then it all went quiet. So I very much believe that Bertha Council had a say in that. I'm almost sure it happened after 1975. I don't know. I can't. Well, perhaps later than that, Andy, when you think about it. Yes, perhaps it was. Yes, but the silencing of the church bells was definitely a step backwards. It was not good. I mean, even people who didn't attend church, it was a definite reminder it was a Sunday, particularly if they'd been in the pub the night before and sort of in a bit of a slumber, a drunken slumber. And, have I slept in for my work? Oh no, there's the church bells in the background. It's still Sunday. I better turn over for an extra couple of hours. Yeah. Although I do remember, I best not give the names. In fact, yes, I best not give the names. But anyway, the story is that the father and son were both working on a construction site, and they got picked up at 20 minutes to 8 in the morning, 20 past 7 to 28 in the morning, from a location within the town of Crieff. And anyway, after the day in the pub, they had gone back home. They weren't drinking together, but they both were Sunday drinkers, of course. And anyway, some of the chap was going home after he'd been in the pub, and he met them. And he says, what are you doing? He says, oh, how you doing? He says, we're just waiting for a lift to work. He says, you've got a long bloody wait then, and you've got another 12 hours till morning. It was still Sunday night. They were there at 7:30 on the Sunday night, but they weren't getting picked up until 7:30, 20 to 8 in the Monday morning. So it just shows you how drink can affect your mind and what you know. Because it was dark, they thought it was it was time to go to work. This guy's in a very peculiar mood. I won't point my camera upwards, but you won't actually see it, I don't think. But it's in a very, very strange cloud formations. It's been a very dull month so far, May. It's not been terrific, has it? You were meant to be talking about elections, Andy. Oh yes, I'm not going to talk about individual parties or indeed the candidates at all. I'm not, everyone's got their choice and everyone's got their reasoning behind who they choose to serve them well in the communities and at Holyrood. But I mean, personally, I would rather see Holyrood completely closed down and the money saved cut from the council tax bills that we have to pay. In fact, the savings would be so great that we would only have to pay about 10 pence council tax per year. Although the council tax doesn't cover the cost of Holyrood, it doesn't. So that's not its purpose. It's the money that is spent on all these MSPs and all the, just everything connected with it is for what is actually, undertaken in any sort of parliamentary year. It's complete nonsense. It's more like a council debating chamber than a bloody parliament, in my opinion. But we're at Glen Turret, and I don't know if you can if you can hear that white noise in the background. It's from that machine down there. I opened the door, and you might be able to hear it. It's a constant drone. And I think to myself that the staff members who have to listen to that all day long, it's coming from the mash house. It's all the stuff. It goes for feed for the cattle. Some lucky farm in the area gets all that for his livestock. And so the whiskey's been made. The smell should be very, very aromatic down the corner down there. But anyway, it's the noise of it. And it's a sort of noise that impregnates your mind, your brain, and you can't ever get rid of it. So if you're sensitive to any sort of noise, like I am, white noise, that's the sort of stuff that would drive you completely nuts, completely insane. Because you put your head in the pillow to get to sleep, and all you'd hear was that. And it's like when well, I've mentioned before on this channel about raking leaves when I was a groundsman, and all I ever saw, and also when I went to my bed, was millions of leaves in front of me. And this harks back to the time when I first went to tatty picking, the potato harvesting, as a youngster, and on my first day's picking, and when I went to go to bed and went to try and sleep, all I saw was thousands of potatoes getting chucked about, from the digger machine, digging up the what do you call it, the furrows, and throwing them, scattering them all over the place for you to pick up in amongst all the shawls. They spray the shawls now. The shawls are the vegetation of the, it's above ground, with a sort of acid, and burns it down to something almost so you don't see it. Well, it looks like it's withered or baked in the sunshine for 100 years. So that's a chemical they put on to do that. But they never used to. And when I first started picking potatoes at the harvesting season, you had to separate potatoes from the shawls. And it was a very time-consuming business. And by the time you got one lot picked, then the tractor was appearing again to do it all over. It was a very, very hard day's work. It was slavery. It was absolute slavery. And there should have been high levels of compensation made to anyone who attended any of the local farmers' fields for tatty picking back in the 60s and 70s. The whole purpose of the state school in Scotland, at least, giving you 2 weeks holiday was so that you can go and work on the farms, pick tatties. And in the private schools and public schools, there was no provision for that. It was autumn break, which meant a trip to Madeira or something, with the family, or the children would go with their parents to some exotic location, whereas the state school children would all be bent, forward, bloody lifting potatoes. And the summertime for the picking berries, and the Easter, the tatty planting. I never went to berry picking because there wasn't any berry picking in this area. And thank God I couldn't have stood that as well. No, summertime was for caddying. I've mentioned my caddying stories before in this channel. No, summertime was for wandering around the golf course with a weighted golf bag on your shoulders for hours. For 50 pence of Willie Milne, the professional golfer. I had to slip it in, but it's true. 50 fucking pence. 1972. I actually got his, did I tell you, but I found his autograph. I've got it. I might get a snapshot of it on this when I get home. I know where it is this time. But I just thought I'd sit here. I'd come out and mill over what's going to happen. There'll be a lot of tense politicians in the next 12 hours, I'm sure. Probably a lot of them won't sleep. And anyone who wins, they'll be absolutely elated. Not just for their political party, but also the fact they can continue to pay their mortgage without sweating. And shove a little extra into some ISAs. Tax-free up until the 30th of April, I understood. It's all right if you've got the money. You can chuck a bundle of cash into the ISIS and something to fall back on. In fact, I was talking, I might load it, I was talking to the camera. Sometimes I just do it because it saves me writing a diary, or it saves me journaling thoughts onto paper, which is quite time consuming. But I was out at Globeburn Farm and I was talking about private equity firms and investments. But I wasn't really in the right frame of mind, and I kept on being interrupted by Range Rovers and Land Rovers. I might put it off, actually. I might do it. Best not point the camera at the employee coming up. You'll probably think I'm private detective or something, paid to check on their, what do you call it, a time and motion study for them working. I was very happy. He realised I was on some electronic thing, but as I said before, that's a woman in Killin who thinks it's a telephone I was talking to. I think that's why I get away with it. But he's gone now. He went behind me. But yeah, it'd be quite off-putting to think that if you didn't recognise the motor car, I'm sure you'd think, well, who the hell's that? Pointing a camera at our employees. Yes, that's what it'll be. Making sure that they actually finish at 4:30 and not 27 minutes past 4. Yeah, that's what it'll be, Andy. Something should tell the road crews of Bear Scotland about. The ones that finish at 2:30. Or 20 past 2. For wherever they are, they finish about 20 past 2. That's the day over. And then they drive back to base. Yes, Andy, but they start at 7 o'clock in the morning. Well, maybe so, but it's a strange time of day to end your day's work at 20 past 2. I have to say life is much easier now, because even when I was, sorry to mention but I just want, well, I can't really talk for someone else, can I? But anytime I worked in construction, I mean, during the spring and summer months, when the light was available, you worked till 6 o'clock at night for absolute, definite. And sometimes you get overtime till 8 p.m. You finish at 8 o'clock at night, and then you're back there for 7:30, 8 o'clock the next morning. Well, he's gone back again, that chap. He's on his way back. He says, I better go back, and I've got a feeling that chap up there, the private detective, the time and motion study, has spotted me. He knows there's a camera this time. He looked with a much more definite look, so he knows that I've got a camera pointing at him. Sorry about that, but I kind of got carried away there. Anyway, he's gone in back indoors, and he says, you know that chap up there that's got the camera pointing at us? Oh yes, I know who it is. What's he doing? Well, he's keeping a track on us to make sure that we finish at 4:30 on the dot. He says, well, I've got a feeling I left at 28 minutes past, so I'm going back in again just for the extra couple of minutes. It's probably a good idea in case he is recording, because it'll be sent to the distillery manager, time framed. Anyway, Andy, it's been a grand chat just sitting here talking a lot of nonsense as usual. It's not nonsense. It's all very it's all very true. What's that lady's name, Andy? Come on. It'll come back to you. I can picture it quite clearly. There's another name that's been creeping in. It's, you know, taking my concentration, but this is, no, it will come back to me, I promise. But anyway, I think what we'll do, Andy, we'll go home and we'll get our dinner started. A bit early for that, isn't it? Well, there's nothing else to do in a day like this. Yeah. Yeah, we'll go home, we'll get our dinner started, and then we can see what the evening turns out like, and we might go for a wander or something. Another week is gone, isn't it? Crikey, it's the first week in May has gone already, Andy. The sun's breaking through, it's a good sign, so it might clear up for the weekend, so fingers crossed, Andy. But thanks very much for listening to this drivel. But anyway, I better escape this car park, otherwise I will be bringing suspicion to myself with regards to these gentlemen who are just doing a day's work, so I'm going to leave it there.